I like graphs. And as you can see, this graph, we could use it now in this opportunity to think of it as Moore's law or something coming down by the power of 10, like photovoltaic cell power price or human genome sequencing price coming down from 100 million US dollars to 7,000 US dollars today, just from 2001. Or it could be transistor chips getting faster and smaller and better, and everything wonderful that you see in technology is accelerating at an ever-uptaking pace. And you have your phones in your pockets, they have stuff like scanners that used to be like in your office, like really huge ones. I still have one, but you also have it in your pocket. Tiny as what? Free, and also the price of like replicating that is nothing. So technology is going forward at a really, really good pace, and I'm preaching to the choir here, you all know this. But there's some stuff that's worrying me, as it's beautiful in the fact that there's synthetic biology happening, also prices coming down, or there's programmable DNA, or we have a printer on the International Space Station going around the planet and actually being able to print some stuff. That's all incredible, and there's software being used in Uruguay to track cattle and everything possible. And it's also technology, like Peter Diamandis loves to say, it's digitalized, then it's dematerialized, and then it's democratized. And so more people have access to these like technological tools around the world. But there is this growing gap of inequality, I feel, that there are the winners and then there are the losers. And the winners tend to be quite a small amount of people in this world who are able to use technology as a tool, or who are able to make stuff happen with it. And then there's the losers who maybe feel intimidated or overwhelmed by technology's complexity, or who feel a bit afraid of it, maybe. And who are entering this world? Well, there's like the fossils like us, who have been born before the web was commercialized. And then there's toddlers, and there's youngsters, and there's everybody who's web native, internet native, who's entering this world. And there's incredible possibilities in that web. And let's say, to wake you up a bit, raise your hands right now who have phones in their hands. Got you, no, okay. So that's about, let's say, for the sake of my presentation, let's say that was 3 out of 7. I just calculated that. So the 4 people around those 3 people would not be online yet, and they would be coming online. And what's interesting is what those 4 people, that would be in billions, what those 4 people are going to want, what kind of products are going to make their life better, and what are they going to choose, and who is going to make all this stuff? It's like those 3 guys that had those phones in their hands, like 1 percentile of that one guy is going to be making that technology, and that doesn't seem quite fair. If 7 people are using it, why should like such a small part of one of them be doing it? So there's immense opportunities for these young people coming online, but also there I'm a bit worried, because when I see my friends or young people or even kids who are swiping TVs thinking that they're open like that, they're pretty much passive users, because there's this amazing software developers often are told to make UXs and operating systems so beautiful and so simple that they're so easy to use that anyone can use them. And that's in a bit of conflict with the fact that when something is so simple and beautiful and great to use, you don't really get to see the other side, the architecture and the beauty of the complexity and how things are built. And you don't know how to fix them if they go and break. And it's kind of like you're so used to being in front of this, what my friend Otto calls the wall of simplicity, that it's this beautiful wall that's been ready-made for you, and you can just sit back and relax, and you don't really you don't really see behind it. And you don't see what all opportunity lies on the other side if you would just go and see beyond that wall of complex simplicity. So we come to technology education, which is sort of this new thing now, but actually 40 years ago they were already teaching C in schools, and from that on more went on, like you saw my graph, and Ed didn't. He just stayed at that point, and actually even just went back to doing Excel, what I did in school, instead of actually picking up with the pace and showing the immense possibilities with technology. So there's millions of variations of how people think that technology should be taught. That some people think that when you turn a book digital and you use it, that is like using technology in your education. Might be true to some extent, but maybe there's something else that we need to add to it. Some people think of the time invested. Is that like determining our technology education, how long you're doing something? Or is it just coding that we need to learn? Like in Finland, there's, I think it's second graders who need to know how to open and close a browser. Now, it's not very interesting if you're clicking something open and closing it. Like, it's just an icon. If you don't explain what is behind there, what is the web? How are you supposed to behave on the web? What are all the people on the web, and where do they all come from, and what are the stories, and should I trust everything on the web, and how should I do things here? And I can actually put something on there. That's also quite interesting. Instead of teaching like only the how, maybe we should also teach a bit of the what in technology. Now, because Singularity University, I put this thing, it's not the singularity here. This is an explosion of all kinds of different people in the technology education domain, which is great. Because this is what we also believe at MeHackett, that we need to empower all the stakeholders around. So there's parents, there's interested people like you guys, there's the coders, there's the teachers, there's the principals, there's the media, there's somebody else, and of course the learners in all kinds of possible different definitions. And that's pretty cool because, like, even though it's not a very new thing, this technology education, but this field right now is in a sort of like shaking up. And when some field is so new and so raw, it means that anybody can come in there and do as they please. And that's the great thing, because there's no ready structure, there's no rule sets, there's nobody telling you what exactly needs to be done. And all those different stakeholders can come in and shape it into the way they see best fit for teaching technology or how they understand technology. And no one path here is right in any way. And that's a really, really, really good thing. Now, this is, I'm sure you appreciate my drawings by now, this is a picture of the future. And as Abraham Lincoln said, the best way to predict the future is to make it. Now, people have this illusion that this future is like a place, it's like the next room where you can just stroll in and everything's ready-made. But it's actually not like that, because every step you take or every choice you make today, or you decide not to make, has an effect on your surroundings, on your life, and on the future of everybody else. And this is something that's quite an interesting thing to grasp, that the future is not something that you're going towards and just sort of floating in there. It's something that you make every day and with every choice of your life. And it's also something that we've been, I think, made believe that we don't really, that it is something like that that's ready, that you don't have an influence on it. But what's actually interesting is that you have a lot of influence on it. And this is also something that I feel that we're gatekeeping a lot of areas, like in technology or startups or entrepreneurship. It's for 20-something people in some certain cities around the world. And that's not right. And in the same way, technology education should be open for everyone who wants to come in. It should be all ages, all shapes and thoughts and sizes. Now, technology education is obviously not the only thing that young people need or we all need. we need some real-world tools and thoughts. And I think of it as this sort of picnic box that we need to pack and keep with us and keep growing it. And there's like some problem-solving skills that we put in there, or some real-world experiences, what things feel like. How do you feel empathy towards somebody? Or how do you use technology as a tool? And you put some creativity and some confidence and some guts in there. And then you take that and you hold that with you through your life, and that's going to help you. And that's going to take you forward, and that's going to make you believe that I can do anything in this world, and I can be one of those shapers who's doing that future, which is kind of cool. But I think the most important skill, or if it can be called a skill, is making the right choices. And by making the right choices, I mean that all of these skill sets and all of this technology, knowledge, and all of these things that you put in this picnic basket that you're carrying around with you through your life is not going to help unless our mindset changes. So, to give you a few examples of what I'm trying to grasp here, like I think Guardian wrote 3 weeks ago that we have 60 harvests left until we've depleted our soils of all the nutrients and we can't grow any food. That's 60 years from today. That's like, I'm not going to see that, or I am going to see the end of that. Or multinational companies making their strategies with 6 degrees global warming awaited, which is kind of alarming because I think we're 4 or 5 degrees from ice age, and then if we're going 6 degrees above that, and companies are making their strategy aligned with that because we're not going to do anything anyway, then it's kind of alarming. Every 20 seconds, a child dies of water-related disease, and we kind of like know how to clean water already. So it's not that we don't have the tools, actually, to fix all the stuff on this planet and beyond. It's actually just that we don't care. And we have these great excuses like, oh, but I'm so busy, or it's on the other side of the world, or the media is not giving us enough information, or something like this. But I think it's our mindset that needs to change. Because the tools are makeable. The tools are like there, and we can always make more tools as soon as we understand that our mindsets needs to change. Now, I'll give you a little thought exercise, and everything that I'm saying here is actually true. So this chair you're sitting in is in a spaceship, and it's a living spaceship, and you're traveling at 67,000 miles per hour in space, in nothingness, and your chair is moving at 67,000 miles per hour through and going nowhere. And you're in this big, big, big spaceship that's living and breathing, and you have other people on it, and you're all traveling together. And that's quite cool. Now, question, would you go on like, I don't know, start like destroying the spaceship secretly so that nobody else notices? Or maybe starting a fight with somebody on the other side of the spaceship? Or maybe you would go and steal something from some other guy, or maybe you should just like ignore the people in Sector C. I don't think so. And I think this like cosmological view that we're actually in the middle of space, we're all in the same boat, and we're all traveling somewhere together, needs to be reminded to every single person here. Because even if we colonize other planets, which is said to be like Plan B or whatnot, if we humans don't like, let's say, gain a bit more intelligence, then we'll still be fighting each other. We'll still be like stealing and destroying and doing all this like primitive stuff. Probably because like, well, I said this before, but our brain didn't get an update really in like 50,000 years. But this is our plan A, and we don't really have a plan B. So it would be great for people to realize this, and also for the people who are packing that picnic basket and taking it along to keep this in mind. Because all this stuff, I'm not saying that solve world peace and do everything. all of these problems are huge opportunities, and not only in ways of humanitarian thinking or empathy, it's also business-wise. You have huge markets. Let's say global warming, huge market. How do we capture carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere? I know many people who would be like starting to pay for that. Or what about desalination? Sounds like a pretty big business. Like, because we only have fresh water about 0.3% of our world. But this is our plan A, and we don't have a plan B. So I think we need to start educating ourselves and our youngsters and everybody to grasp this whole plan A, especially now that we're getting more interconnected and we're starting to live in a really, 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 really global world where you have to remember the spaceship. You can't just say that, oh, I didn't know about those guys there, because we're all in the same thing, like traveling together. Now, my plan A has always been, since I was a teenager, to save this world, and that's where I got into diplomacy or something other interesting stuff like that. But my plan B is that if I don't save the world, maybe these young people will. And maybe they will have the tools and knowledge to do that when they get out of school and their head is bursting with ideas and things to do, and they know about other people and they keep contact on different sides of the planet. Now, 7 billion people means 7 billion chances. And that also means that if you're sitting here or if you're watching this, it means that you probably have a pretty good shot at changing stuff. And even if you're not, like, say, you didn't pay attention or something, you still change stuff. Because there's no bystander in this world. Because every choice you make, or everything you buy, or everything you decide to make, or where you work, or what you teach your children, has a consequence. Because it's this spaceship that we're traveling in together, you know? So keep that in mind, and make something really, really epic come true, and stay good. Thank you.